This is The Issue, and I am the Ghetto Man. We're doing the show from the control room again, so we're going to have a little control room chat. The other day I was watching YouTube, and a very popular lawyer was giving his opinion on the fact that YouTube, Google, Facebook, that these are private businesses, and as private businesses that they have a right to set up, the rules and how their business is going to operate, and especially if it's a format where we're dealing with, a social format or forum where people get together and discuss various different things, that the corporations have a right to go ahead and set certain rules as to what's allowed to be said and what's not to be said. They can literally censor you if you don't go along with their rules. And he made a really good argument. There was nothing that he said that I didn't agree with. But the entire time that he was talking, I kept seeing this gigantic however popping into my head. However. And the however is that when we're talking about corporations, we're talking about something that's completely different than a private business or someone's private home or someone who... a private church. And when I say churches, I'm talking about churches that are operating under the First Amendment that are immune from any government regulation. I'm not talking about the churches that have incorporated with the state and have a charter that they're basically licensed by the state. So they really have to do what the state tells them to do. And it's a good thing, because when a business incorporates, it becomes a partner with the state. The state is the one that creates its charter. And when a corporation is established, it's always established for the benefit of the public. The public is going to be dealing with these corporations, so they are under a whole set of rules that are different from that of the private business owner. See, the private business owner, and I know you've seen the signs, and most of us have seen them that are my age, remember them quite well. You walk into a restaurant and it says, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone," which is a constitutionally protected right. And that means that under a private business, a person operating that business does not have to obey the same rules and regulations that are set up by a corporation or some other juristic person. They can refuse people service, and they can refuse it for any reason that they choose. If they don't like your nose and they don't want to serve you, then out you go. I remember we saw an example of that on Seinfeld. Remember the soup Nazi? No soup for you. And he could do that and get away with that because it was a private business. But when we're dealing with a corporation, we're dealing with an entirely different animal. And that's why I say there's a however here. Give you a prime example. A bank. A bank is a corporation. It incorporates with the state. The state sets up its charter. It's now open for the benefit of the public. Well, the bank cannot discriminate against you because of your race, your sexual orientation, your religion, your political views. They can't sit there and say, just if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican or you're whatever, that you can't open an account here. If they did, then you would have a lawsuit against them for discrimination. You have to remember that the corporation, when it gets its charter, becomes a partner with the state. The state can, give or take away that charter. If they violate the charter, they can withdraw the charter. The state has a right to go in and look at the corporation's books and records and make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted. Why? Because the state is a partner. And as a partner, it has a right to look at the books and records of its creation. State created it. So when this lawyer was talking about, Google and Facebook censoring people, and that they have this right to censor because they're private businesses, I have to say, however, I disagree with him on this part. And I disagree with him because we're not talking about a private individual outside of some privilege. And when I say privilege, that's the incorporation. The business was incorporated. It was incorporated for the benefit of the public. It has a charter. It has to operate. It can't discriminate against people based upon their whatever, especially their free speech. So what we have today is we have what I've said before, that YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, they've become clear examples of pure fascism. The corporations are merging with big government. Freedom of speech, free enterprise, the free market capitalism, it's all be damned for these people. And what this lawyer said is he said that, you don't have to, work with these corporations. You can take your business someplace else. And I agree with him. I agree with that 100%. You don't have to go ahead and go along with these corporations that are censoring you. In fact, I encourage it. That's what I've done. I left Facebook and I went to Minds. I don't involve myself with Twitter. I'm on Gab, and I don't involve myself with YouTube. I mean, I do have a YouTube channel and I do post things there, but I don't care. My main site is with BitChute, and we're doing quite well there. I mean, when you compare the difference between the two, you can see the shadow banning and what the censoring that's going on over YouTube. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what they're doing. So what I'm saying here is, and I mean this is really important. Insofar as dealing with corporations, even though at this point in time we can go ahead and go someplace else, these corporations have really gotten too big. And they've become what we call a monopoly, where they control basically everything. And in order for you to do anything, you have to do exactly what they tell you to do. And what I don't like about this, and I know a lot of other people are beginning to see this, is that what we're dealing with is by merging, the state creating the corporation and having complete control over them, and they can look at the books and records and everything else. The corporation might as well be part of the state. So therefore, the state can't use the corporation to circumvent constitutionally protected rights like freedom of speech through the corporations they created. The moment they're created, since they are a creature of the state, they are the state. That's my point. That was the big however, because he wasn't distinguishing between the two. He's assuming that anybody that operates any business, because there are people who operate businesses without business licenses. And these people who operate what they call a merchant and trader at law, that they have a right to go ahead and sell and do whatever they want with whomever they want, and it's completely private and it's outside of the government's view. They don't have to do what the government says. But when you become a juristic person and you apply for any type of license and you become licensed, then the state is your partner. The state can tell you what you can and cannot do. And since you are the state's partner, you can't turn around and violate somebody's sincerely held constitutional rights and then claim that you're a private organization. And that goes with the church. And the church that establishes itself with a corporate charter can't discriminate against people whether they're homosexuals or they're whatever. They have a right to go to that church, and they can't deny them that right based upon their sexual orientation or their whatever color. They can't discriminate. There could be a lawsuit against them for that. But if they're a church that's set up under the First Amendment, meaning that Congress can make no law that would abridge the freedom of speech or the freedom of the establishment and the free exercise of your religious beliefs, they can't come in there and tell you that you have to become merged with the state in order to be a church. I mean, churches do it all the time. They don't have to, but they do. But once they get that corporate charter, then they become a partner with the state. And that's the problem that I have, and I think that's the problem that most people should have, is that corporations have merged with the state, and the state is now using those corporations to deny people constitutionally protected rights that the state itself cannot do. It's going to do it through their creation. That's the problem. And that's what I wanted to bring this, do this video, is bring that to your attention. So anyway, that's something you think about. I am the Ghetto Man, and I want to thank you for watching. And if you're politically correct, then you're legally wrong. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're the problem. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and please share.